Right. So, hello. This is the startup mindset session. Um, Mindset is very, very important, not only in the startup, but in everything in life. This is the only thing that I work on every day. I I would like to start by welcoming everyone. So, all of you who are online and participating, prepare for yourself for an active session, meaning I would like you to at least be able to talk. And since we have a small group, I would like you to start by a quick introduction to yourself. So, everyone who's present online, I want you to all say hi and introduce yourself. Tell me who you are, which city you're from, and one fun fact about you or anything else you want to mention. So introduce yourself plus one fun fact about you. So who would like to start? I see, for example, Veronica. Would you like to start?
Yeah, I can. So my name is Veronica and I'm from Dnipro, from Ukraine. The city is in the center of Ukraine. And maybe I can say two fun facts about me that I have been dancing for 11 years, a lot of dance styles. And what else? I'm an English teacher.
All right. Veronica, one more thing. I would like you to tell me, what does startups mean to you? So
Start.
what does startups mean to you and why are you here?
Basically, I'm a beginner in this topic of startups or building anything new. So for me, it just startups are new ideas. Is when you have a spark in yourself, and maybe you would like to have something new in your world, maybe something unusual that have not been here before.
Okay, thank you. Anastasia Topcha, did I correctly read it? I don't read Ukrainian really well. So those of you who are online, can you just do one, like, can you raise your hand so I know that you can participate? And we're all gonna be introducing ourselves. Anastasia, you're next.
Yes, but I don't know English very well.
It's okay, do your best.
Yes, I'm Anastasia. I'm student faculty health and physical education, and I occupational therapist and physical therapist. And I think startup this is something new and it is depend for my hobby, interest in мої інтереси.
Okay.
Це я буду.
Anastasia, type in the chat in Ukrainian. I'm gonna use ChatGPT to translate it a bit later, okay? Introduce yourself in text. Who's next? Anne? I see an Anne and a cat or a mouse. What is that? Who? Can you go next?
I think it's a cat.
Okay, it looks like a cute cat.
Very Zoom cat.
Yeah, fishball cat. All right, Maria, maybe you're next while Anne is preparing. Maria Turovets. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Maria. I work as a product manager at this point. I've helped building and delivering early stage tech products in health, education, sports, and even military. Um, I just, my track in startups is because I enjoy turning ideas into real solutions that people might find useful. And I joined the accelerator to grow fast with my product, get feedback, and bring my startup idea to life. Some sort of.
Okay, thank you. Nice to meet you, Maria. Fun fact about you?
Um, I have double name. I'm actually Maria Anastasia. So I
Okay,
have two names in
thank you.
passport. Like, I think
Okay.
it's quite fun. I have a lot of fun stories, maybe later.
Yeah, in Finland, people usually have 2 or 3 or 4 names. This is a fun fact about Finnish people. But I'm not Finnish. I'm Lebanese, Ukrainian. I was born in Kharkov. This is fun fact about me. All
Wow.
right, who's next? I'm going to ask you to volunteer. If no one volunteers, I'm going to start the workshop. Victoria, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. All right. My name is Victoria. I'm a fourth year student of Kyiv National Technical University. I'm studying public relations. So I'm currently working on my thesis and I'm graduating in 1 week, I guess. So I'm also working as a head of communication for a Ukrainian NGO. And I'm trying to build a language school. So, fun fact about me, I'm currently in Sri Lanka because I just randomly decided to move here. I just found an internship, I applied, and I moved here like in 1 week. So, yeah. And for me, startup is about innovation and networking, I would say.
Okay. Okay. Who is next?
I can.
Okay.
Hi everyone. I am a student. Also, I was working almost 2 years as a software developer, but as a result, I burn out because as linear employee, I didn't have a freedom. So yeah, currently I want to start my idea. And a fun fact, I'm writing music without understanding music theory.
I understand you really well. I have my own DJ set at home and I don't know anything about music. I just like to play.
It's cool.
All right. Anyone else wants to introduce themselves before I start? This is the last chance to do it.
I can do that.
All right, go,
I
Alina.
want to be a participant too. Okay, my name is Alina. I am working in YEP, and also I am working in Paraship. I can speak about many fun facts about me. For example, I like roller skating. It's like the part of my life, big part. Also, I have 77 day in Duolingo learning Italian. And for me, startup becomes something that changed my life so much because I changed the city I live and I have resources to do everything I want now.
Okay, thank you. So, before we start, I would like you to play a game. I would like you to write down a name of an animal without yet revealing it in the chat. So write down one animal, but don't press enter yet. And then I would like you to write down a second animal and then a third one. For example, mine would be lion, shark, eagle. And now I would like you all to type it in the chat. So I want everyone to do this. Cat, monkey, squirrel, elephant, Leo, cat. Cat, horse, bird, lion, mouse, squirrel. Alina, what's yours? I'm waiting for it. Wolf, lion, dog. Owl, dog, elephant. So write down 3 animals in the chat. Whale, cat, shark. Ooh. 2 animals from the sea. Perfect. This is going to be an exercise for us to do a bit later. Now I'm going to start the workshop with some slides. The topic of mindset is very important. What is mindset in Ukrainian, if we translate it?
Мислення.
Мислення. What is startup mindset? I would like you to unmute and participate. Мислення. Okay. What is startup mindset? What can it be? You can either type in the chat and you can either unmute and tell me what is mindset.
I can start.
Yeah.
If it's okay.
Yeah,
Um,
anyone can participate.
So I think that it's really important to stay flexible, at least in your head, to go fast from delivery, testing, and moving on. It's very important. Because for
Okay.
me, it was a trouble to abandon my idea, to take initiative, because no one is going to come to you for your idea, to learn fast, because you never know everything, but you can try to learn more, to listen to your user, because it's not only about your idea and how you're seeing it, but also how market will respond to that. And being okay with uncertainty. It's also important
All
to
of them are correct. Everything you said is correct. Well done. What else? What else is mindset? So for those who joined later, please introduce yourself in the chat and write down 3 animals. For example, horse, snake, dog. If you joined later, please do that. And now we had the question, what is mindset?
I'm sure the council will approve the mission. Just remember.
Any other comments on what is mindset? Believing in the steps you take and being confident in the work you're doing. Confidence is a bit a dangerous word when it comes to startups. I will explain that soon. Be creative and look at something that bothers you from all sides. For me, it's having clear path in your mind and understanding your obstacles when realizing any idea. Mindset is about setting a direction for your actions. Yes, all of these are correct. So, there's a million ways that describe the actions of a mindset. But what really, really matters for you in your life and in the startup thing that I would really want you to never forget. Mindset is the first step for winning and for succeeding. Meaning, when I'm coaching people, startups or non-startups, the first thing I look at is this a person who wants to win and who's ready to do the work? Because we are all born being babies and we know nothing. We're born empty. But as we grow, we need to learn, get better, compete, and win. So there's a big difference between someone who's hungry, who has the readiness to do the work, and who has the talent to do the work. So mindset is the first step, meaning if you want to win or if you want to succeed in anything, mindset is very important. For example, now I asked you to introduce yourself. every time you have a chance to introduce yourself, it's a chance for you to show who you are. For those of you who are shy, for those of you who are making excuses like, hey, I don't speak English really well, for those of you who didn't even try to do your best or don't know how to do your best, this is the last time you do this. Because every time when you're doing something, especially in the startup world, you are selling yourself first before you're selling your ideas. So you always need to take this seriously, because mindset is not only what you do, it's also how you think. So the first thing we did in the intro session at the kickoff, I made you say, I choose this, right? Did we do this, Alina, in the first session?
I think so.
All right. So the first step for winning is to have a strong mindset. And the first step of acting on it is to choose anything you want to do in life. So one more time, I would like you to say, I choose this. I'm going to say 3, 2, 1. You say, I choose this. Okay? 3, 2, 1.
I choose this.
it.
I choose this.
So anything you want to try in life and succeed at it, start by choosing it. And the next step of doing that, of having the winning mindset, is to learn. Meaning, there's no shame of being a startup. There's no shame of starting anything. Playing guitar, playing football, roller skating, climbing, doing a startup. There's no shame in starting. What's the shame is to have a shitty attitude, a shitty mindset, and showing no progress. So one of the things that I do when I'm working in a VC as an investor, I like to test people. I like to test their mindset. I like to test their progress. I give them a little task. For example, introduce yourself or tell me, or I ask them some questions, and I feel like they don't have the mindset, they don't put effort. So this is something we need to always forget about. We always need to put effort. We always need to do our best. So the first thing what we do to improve ourselves, we need to seize every opportunity. Meaning, every opportunity is a chance for you to prove yourself or to learn. So the first starting point would be every time I try, it's an opportunity. That's the first step of learning about anything. You try a lot of things, or you try, for example, if you learn guitar, every chance you have to practice, it's an opportunity for you to become a rock star. If you want to be a startup founder, every person you meet and talk to, it's a chance for you to become a successful founder. Any mentor that you get to talk to, that's a chance. Any book that you get to read, it's a chance. Why? Because you need to be the smartest person there is in your field, but you also need to be smart in the domain of the startups, and you also need to be smart in whatever domain of the audience you have to talk to. Meaning, if I'm talking to an investor, I need to understand what they're doing. If I'm talking to customers, I need to understand how to talk to them. If I'm talking to partners, same thing. If I'm talking to media, same thing. And being a startup founder, you want to seek these opportunities. So after you choose something, you want to improve. To improve, you want to seize all opportunities. How do you seize all opportunities? You do your best. Meaning, every time I try it's an opportunity, I will do my best. That's the second step for a strong mindset. Doing your best doesn't mean that you need to be confident. Doing your best means that you believe that if you do your best, you can get better at something. For example, if you start playing guitar, no one will be a rock star by first time. You put them on stage and they would create a festival or a concert. But if that person will practice for months and years, there's a chance that they could become really good. The next question would be like, how badly they want it and how talented are they in this particular thing? Not everybody is going to be talented in everything. That's why usually a startup team needs to have different roles. Someone who understands the technology, for example, a coder, someone who understands the sales and marketing and people in general, how they work, and someone who understands, let's say, a certain domain. That's like For example, AI. If someone knows AI and coding, that's amazing. So it's always good to understand what kind of skills you need to have in a team. By the way, you can ask me questions anytime. You can interrupt me, okay? So mindset is important because that's what sets you apart from anyone else. Anyone that I've seen succeeding, any athlete, any artist, any founder, any entrepreneur, any investor, they always seem to have a really strong mindset. And confidence is irrelevant in the beginning. What you need to have is belief, and you need to put a lot of effort. So you do your best, and when you do your best, you're gonna do a lot of mistakes, and that's okay. So every time I try, it's an opportunity. I will do my best. I will make mistakes. That's the third layer of learning and growing. The fourth layer of growing is to forgive yourself after making mistakes. A lot of people are very hard on themselves. So when you do mistakes after you've done your best, it's okay to forgive yourself. Meaning, this is the first step for you to actually grow and become a stronger person. Next time, you should not do the same mistakes, or if you do the same mistakes, there will be like a different situation. But again, if I will give you an example of football, Leo Messi, he has 8 Ballon d'Ors, but he misses a lot of shots. He has a record of missing in one season. He missed the most shots that he took on target, that he didn't hit the target. But he has scored the most goals in one season, sometimes better than, yes, he's the GOAT, sometimes better than Cristiano Ronaldo. Why is that important? Because if he shoots on the target and misses, and then he doesn't forgive himself, it means he has a big chance to sabotage everything else that happens. And imagine if he would be playing football and missing for the first minute, and the next 89 minutes of the game he can't forgive himself, he can't focus. That means he's already sabotaging the rest of the game. No professional athletes actually should do that. Sometimes they do, but again, mindset is very important. It will set you apart from being an amateur or average founder to becoming a phenomenal, like a superstar, in my opinion. All right, now I'm gonna share some slides. Do you have any wishes or questions about what you would like to learn today in regards to mindset? If not, I'm going to choose the parts for you. Save this link, pitchingforlife.com/yep. You have all the materials here that I'm using. I'm gonna type it in the chat. Also, I'm gonna use the long slides. And we're gonna start. So my brand is called Pitching for Life. For me, I see pitching in everything in life. I will explain this point. But I also coach selling, business development, negotiations, anything that requires a topic that you need to communicate to an audience on any platform. So I help people to communicate any topic to any audience on any platform. So it's something that I'm obsessed with, because to most people that I meet, they are afraid to talk to other people. And there was a lot of articles like 10 years ago that I read that people prefer to die than to speak in front of people, which is very dangerous if you're planning to be a startup founder, because you need to do a lot of networking. You need to do a lot of learning to actually build a great startup. And for those of you who are wondering, how did the mindset come here? 99% of the issues when it comes to pitching, they're mindset related, especially things that stop you from pitching properly. And if I mentioned any audience, so I coach people to pitch any topic to any audience on any platform, meaning most of the people who are thinking about pitching, you think about it like this: I pitch to you, or I am presenting to you. So I present to someone outside. But I also use pitching to present for me inside, meaning I tell myself, Walid, now wake up, go to the gym. It's a pitch. So, Walid, today you need to come coach amazing Ukrainians at this Pershi program and try to change lives. And Walid, you need to do your best because you always have to try to do your best. It's pitching for yourself. It's called self-pitching. So I'm very obsessed with this topic. Why? Because you're gonna see soon that my definition of a pitch, it's any presentation that has a purpose. I'm gonna explain that soon. So pitching is a very beautiful topic. With one skill, you can actually get to do anything in life. So we're gonna focus today on self-pitching and a little bit of explaining what pitching is externally. We're gonna have another workshop where we talk about how to pitch to other people and in other situations, okay? And I'm spending effort on this today because it's very, very important, because most people who are losers, they have a shitty mindset. And a shitty mindset is a choice. It's you who decides that. You decide not to respect yourself or love yourself or want to succeed. And you're not talking to yourself enough. You're not motivating yourself enough. Or I don't believe in this thing that you have to motivate yourself, but you're not talking to yourself enough and explaining why should you, for example, attend this session, or why should you go and talk to a certain mentor. Most people are afraid to do it. They don't actually do. So the worst thing for pitching is not to pitch, is not to try, not to do something. That's the worst thing in my world. And it is a mindset thing, because you choose not to do something. You choose to hide behind, oh, I'm shy, I'm an introvert, I am an engineer, I am something, something, something. It's a choice. Because I see a lot of introverted people who are doing all the work. For example, Barack Obama, he was the most amazing president in the US, and he's an introvert. He's done a lot of speeches. Why? Because he has to, and he wants to do a difference. So the real definition of a pitch is any presentation that has a purpose. A purpose can be an ask, meaning any presentation that has an ask. Meaning I present to myself and I want to motivate myself. My ask to myself is get up, go coach, you know? Or when you present a product and you want someone to buy it. I'm presenting the cup and my ask is for you to buy it. Or I'm presenting a startup to investor and I want the investor to invest. So any presentation where you want something, it's a pitch. For example, when you ask your friend to go to a bar with you, it's a pitch. When you ask your friend to wear a hat, it's a pitch because you present and you want something from them. The only thing that is changing is the arguments, and the arguments, they change with the ask. Meaning, if I want you to buy something, if I want you to buy this cup, I would have to convince you why you should buy the cup. The message, here's a cup. I want you to buy the cup. What should I say? Those are the arguments. It's beautiful, it's big, it's made from recyclable materials, it's affordable, whatever arguments there is. But it's a different thing if I want you to invest in the cup. For example, this is a cup, I want you to invest 1 million euros in this cup business. Why should you invest? The arguments would change. So for that, I created this really cool tool called the scenario tool. Start with the audience and a platform, meaning the we part is audience plus platform, meaning who are you pitching to? If I'm pitching to Alina to buy this cup, I write her name, Alina. What do I want from Alina? I want Alina to buy this cup, and I'm pitching the cup. Why should Alina buy the cup? Those are the arguments that I should mention. So Alina, if I would try to sell you this cup, what would you want me to tell you about this cup? You are muted.
Okay, I see. Why it's unique?
Why this cup or not another one?
What does unique means?
What is valuable about this cup?
Valuable, yeah. What would be valuable for you?
Maybe some unique design, or maybe, I don't know, some unique usage.
Okay, what else?
Something new.
Everyone can participate. What does unique mean here?
Something then you can't find everywhere or
Yeah.
in everything.
Yeah, for me, it's always the size. I don't like small cups. They annoy me. I like big cups. That's one thing I care
I
about.
like beautiful cups.
You like design. Cool. Maria, we're gonna do the animals a bit later, I promise. Yeah, I just wanted you to write them now so it will be out of the way. Okay? We're gonna incorporate them really soon. Okay? So the arguments are really important. Then the pitch becomes something very easy. You have a map for a pitch. You tell me what you're pitching, the message. You tell me the arguments, and you tell me why you're pitching. It looks something like this. You always start with hi, there's a message, arguments, and purpose. And you can actually flip the order. For example, in Dragons, then they start with the purpose. Hello, we are raising 1 million euros for 10% of the company. They're starting with the ask. Then they say we have a startup, and then they explain why investors should invest. YouTubers, they do it like this. Hey guys, we have something awesome to show you. Stay tuned with us. Then they say, we want you to, to stay with us for longer and listen. Then they tell you, okay, this is the 3 things that we promised you from the beginning. So every pitch has its own storyline and structure. But the point here is that for YouTubers, they want you to stay longer. For Dragons, then they gave you a strict criteria to start with the purpose. For startups who have technical solutions, it's always better to start with the message because it makes it very clear to follow. So the most important thing when it comes to pitching is to actually do it properly, to understand how to start and how to end. So these are the things we're going to learn in the next session, but I just want to include them today. Another thing about being a startup founder, there are 11 components of business development. And why do I talk about them in the mindset session? Because what startups think about the startup world is that we are building a product, we want customers, we want funding. But you have so many other components there that will actually affect everything in your company. Every startup has a tech or innovation. This is the foundation for any startup. For example, deep tech startups, they even have stronger science and engineering than generalist startups. Generalist startups, they have even coding is a tech. For example, if you're using AI now, it's a certain type of tech. And then you need a team. A lot of issues that happen within the startup world, they are team issues. About 90% of all the conflict is team conflict. So your mindset should be to choose your team very, very carefully. Meaning, don't just choose your friends because it's easy. And don't just choose people who understand you and say yes to everything you do and have the same skills, because that's like having a football team with only goalkeepers. You don't have attackers or midfielders or defenders. That's a little bit stupid. Or a basketball team that has only short people. It doesn't make sense. So, and the same thing with basketball team with only tall people. Tall people are usually slower, so we can kick their butts on fast breaks. Those of you who understand basketball, that would be the thing. Of course, when it comes to being under the basket, we would lose, right? But anyway, a team needs to be a complete team. There should be synergy, there should be complementary things, complementary skills, and you should all have to have one goal and preferably one strong mindset to win. Because, for example, I hate losing more than actually the chance of winning. I always aim for not to lose than to win. Then they have this ability to win, because I know if I don't lose, I will win. That's my mentality. So I always say that I never lost. I always win when I try my best, even if I don't get what I want. But that's hard, because also I learned that from Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan says, I never lost a game. I only ran out of time, which is super crazy to say. He lost games, but in his mindset, he didn't lose them. He was still trying to learn the opponents, but there was time that he lost. Again, he won 6 championships, and he always was driving the team to be better. He was like the foundation for the mindset for the team. Then, after you have the tech and the team, you will start building products. For example, Apple, they build many different portfolio of products. For example, iPod, iPhone, iPad, Mac, and all that. Probably some of you are using those products. But some companies, they build only one type of product, meaning, for example, in the beginning, Airbnb just had one particular feature. Then they started adding stuff. It's fine. But you have a tech, you have a team, you can build products. That's great, but that's not enough. The next thing you need to really think about is your competitive offering. Meaning, it's not enough to know who your competitors are. You need to understand how you're going to beat them, how you're going to be better than they are, how you're going to be better, faster, stronger, cheaper, cooler, awesomer, whatever. For example, for Alina, if I need to sell her cups, it needs to be more beautiful. But what does more beautiful mean? Do you want certain colors? Do you want certain designs? Do you like certain characters? What is it? That would be like, and also competition can be anything that will make you more attractive than anyone else. I give this really nice example about pizza ovens. If I have an oven that can make 1,000 pizzas per day, and all the other ovens can only make 500 pizzas a day, my pizza oven is better. 2 times better at least. So that's my competitive offering. So your competitive offering should be kind of, how can I say it? It should be quantifiable. You should put a number to it. If you say we save you money, it's not enough. You have to say, for example, we save you 30% of the cost, or we can save you 10,000 euros per day, or something that is concrete. Why? Because if you say something generic, you're not unique. Anyone else can say it. But if you can say that, hey, I can make 1,000 pizzas per day, no one else can do it. The closest ones can make 500. No one can challenge that. The next thing would be, they would tell you, show us that. And you can show it. That's it. They will believe it. But then the next step is to think about customers. Who they are, what do they need, what is their problem, what are they expecting, how can you serve them? For example, in Finland, 90% of pizzerias, they make 100 pizzas per day. But I'm selling them a pizza oven that makes 1,000 pizzas per day. They might not need that. So basically, 90% of pizzerias will not need my product. So the first question would be for customers, what do you need? Not what's your problem, but what do you really need? If they need a pizza oven that makes 1,000 pizzas per day and no one else can do it, that's great. And then they can also choose to buy 2 pizza ovens that make 500 pizzas per day. They don't need to buy your pizza oven, right? So do you have a business or not? And that's the kind of thinking that leads to the winning mindset. Like, you need to understand all these steps, and step by step and together. But let's say in Finland or in Ukraine or anywhere, people need this 1,000 pizzas per day. The next step would be to understand what is the market like. The market is basically not just customers, but it's a lot of customers in the same physical location. It's like going to a shopping mall. That's a market. But in the startup world, you need to think about a market from the perspective like, how many clients can you get? How much can you sell per month, per year? And how much can you sell regularly? Because nobody cares if you have the most amazing pizza oven or the most amazing technology if you don't have a competitive offering, if you don't know how to serve your clients, and if you don't know how to grab the market. And worse, this is my superpower, if you don't know how to get access to the market. So when I coach startups, I help them get access to the market by pitching properly, by, for example, fixing their website, by understanding how to talk to your early customers. So all this is important. Why? Because you cannot just think about product, who's the competitors and customers, and blindly. It fits under the mindset like, I want to learn, I want to improve, I want to win. And then go-to-market strategy. Let's say you understand your customers and your market, you have a product, you have a competitive offering. You need to think like, what is the best way to win? And like in any basketball game or football game, you're going to have different strategies for different opponents, but you always have your philosophy. For example, if Barcelona plays tiki-taka, and if the Golden State Warriors, they like to shoot 3 points, that's your signature style. But for every approach in the market, you're gonna have to have different type of competitors. So you're gonna have to have different approaches. So this is where it becomes a bit more difficult. So these first 7 steps, if you do them really well, you will be fundable. If you are doing something weird in the first 7 steps, you are not fundable, meaning it's very hard to get funding. Why? Because you're simply, you're not playing the game properly, the game of startups. Legal and IP, they come sometimes before the funding or after the funding, but usually after the funding, they should be done properly. For example, legal stuff on a team level, legal stuff on a product level, on a competition level. For example, shareholders agreements. For example, in certain industries, you need to get regulations and licenses and all that. And IP means that you do some patenting and protection of your business. So again, we invest in deep tech startups. Deep tech, it means technology or science is the foundation for everything. It is something that very few people can do on the planet. And by default, you need to really protect it, because if you don't protect it, someone else can do it. For other startups, we call them generalist startups. If the tech is not the foundation, but the competitive offering and the way you do customer and market acquisition, for example, it's about speed. It's about working really fast. For example, all the B2Bs. All the B2B SaaS, they are usually, you need to grab the markets fast because it's very easy to copy those solutions. So you need to understand your game, and you need to do all this using the proper startup mindset, because you cannot work like big companies. For example, big companies, they spend 4 million euros to just create a new logo. You cannot do that. They spend months thinking what would be the best strategy. You cannot do that. You have to work fast, you have to work properly, you have to do a lot of mistakes, you have to learn quick. So the startup mindset, you have to be very efficient with money. For example, I organized the Deep Tech Investor Day just last Monday or this Monday. We had 300 people. We had pizza, beers, drinks, coffee. We had a beautiful stage and all that. And I only spent 4,000 euros. And in Finland, usually an event like this would cost at least 50,000 euros. So why did I do that? Because our budget was small, but I started using my imagination, my creativity. I started asking for favors. I started asking for sponsors, etc., etc., etc. This is the startup mindset because you don't have resources. You cannot lose time and you cannot spend resources that you don't have. So you need to do all this from the perspective of being efficient, being quick, and you cannot do what big corporations are doing. If you start doing what they're doing, you're already lost. So the next thing I want to introduce is this thing called stupid intelligence framework. Why is this important? It's important because the first thing we are doing when we are dealing with humans, we're sending signals. Meaning now, when you introduced yourself, if you didn't put effort, you showed me that you're shy, you're like, this is so hard for you, blah, 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 blah. You chose to send these negative signals. In the future, anytime you introduce yourself, you should think like, what could be the best way for me to send the best signals? And again, you don't need to be perfect, but you need to put effort. And why is this also important? Because you're going to deal with a lot of new people. You're going to meet a lot of new people that you don't know, and they're not your friends. So you don't have time to build friendships because friendships take a lot of time. And what is perception in Ukrainian? The word perception. I don't know, but I perceive, meaning
Hard to say.
but basically people perceive you as something and they can stereotype you in less than a second. So we are always sending signals. So signals are very important to be aware of. Your mindset should tell you that when I talk to people, I should be aware of the signals that I'm sending. But it doesn't mean that you will be paralyzed and you will think like, oh my God, what do I say now? Blah, blah, blah. Just understand that, hey, at least I need to do my best here and I need to try to actually leave the more positive signals than negative ones. Because trust is important, but it's not enough. You can trust someone 100%, but if you doubt them 1%, you will not commit to them. What is trust in Ukrainian?
Довіра.
And what is doubt?
Сумнів.
Okay, so what Alina said. Trust alone is not enough. I can trust that you have great ideas, but if I doubt that you can implement them, then I already lost. Meaning, whenever you're pitching or trying to convince someone, it's not enough to establish trust. You need to eliminate doubt. Doubt should be at 0%. Then you start getting people to listen to you, and for this to exist, you really need to communicate your ideas well. So selling ideas or communicating, especially learning how to communicate unique selling points. I'm going to explain this point in the next paragraph, in the next slide. Because your biggest job when it comes to working with startups or being a startup founder is to put people first. You are here to serve your clients, you're here to serve yourself, you're here to serve your team, you're here to serve your investors, you're here to serve the partners. You need them, meaning if you think you can do it alone, then by all means go do it alone. Don't be a startup founder. You could be a startup founder, you're alone, but I have never seen a case that actually goes big enough. It's not a real startup founder, it's more like a lifestyle business. The difference between a startup and a lifestyle business or traditional business is very clear. A lifestyle business can be a hairdresser, it can be a one-man studio, it can be a restaurant. But a real startup is something like Google or Nokia or what was the ChatGPT? What is it called? Don't remember.
OpenAI?
Sure.
Yeah.
Basically, you're building something that is huge and that grows fast, that is gonna be like conquer the world or conquer certain area. So there's an element of growing fast and growing big. That's what the startup founder, that's your mission. And that's why I don't like the word entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur can be a restaurant owner. I don't do that. I don't coach entrepreneurs. I don't care about them. I like to coach startup founders who want to build big shit and change the world and, you know, solve a lot of problems. And most importantly, you're going to be serving a lot of people. Just think about Apple. How many people have phones? How many people have Macs? How many people have bought iPods? And how many people have they served? Like, their investors, they made money. Their partners made money. Their suppliers made money. Their customers, they're really happy. I don't have an iPhone, but I have a Mac, you know? So almost every person on the planet has been touched by Apple one way or another. And that's freakishly huge. And that's what any startup should be looking forward to do. If you're building something small as a startup founder, it might not be as inspiring as building something like really big, because again, investors, they want to make money. If you tell them like our startup can be a decacorn, it's different than our startup can make 10 million euros, which is still enough if you're building a lifestyle business. But to do fundraising from a VC, some of them require you at least 100 million euros valuation. For example, our venture capital, we want 2.5 billion minimum valuation at the end. If we don't see that happening, we are not interested. And again, VC funding is not the only funding to go with. You can raise money from friends, you can use your own money, you can raise money from the bank, crowdfunding. You can find money in whatever way you want, especially if you have good ideas. But now we're talking about startup founders, and that's important for you to understand. Your mindset should be about growth. Grants, correct. I didn't mention them all. I mentioned quickly, but thank you, Alina, for this. The startup mentality means that you want to grow fast, you want to grow big. And for that to happen, you need to have a really strong foundation for all the components of business development. For example, the team, the competitive offering, understanding of the customers, understanding of the market, having a good tech. Why having a good tech is important? Let's talk about that. Can someone help us by explaining why having a good technology or innovation is important?
It's like working on an old car. You can do everything much and much faster and better on a new car, for example. But when it's really, really, really old car, you are much, much, much slower. And I think it's the same for the technology in the business.
Yep. But that's correct. I want you also to think about it from the perspective. Imagine you're building a technology or science that no one else has. Why is that important? Sure, but how do you change the world? What does it mean?
Maybe it's improve productivity.
Sure. What does it mean?
Industrial manufacture productivity.
Yep. So let's think about the drones or the solutions that we're now building in the military in Ukraine. What does it mean for us to have better tech?
If say about drones, it save a soldier life because drones and other robots can make the same missions like soldier.
Yeah. What else?
It's not only about lives, it's about having some advantage when you are against the very big country with a lot of resource and a lot of people they can militarize. So
Yeah.
it's like the one way to survive when you have a technology advantage.
Thank you, Alina. This is exactly it. When you're being a startup, it's actually like being Ukraine versus Russia. We need to be smarter. We need to be better because otherwise they're gonna destroy us. It's the same thing in business. We need to build better tech with less resources to win or to stop them from destroying us. Do you get the point? Having a good tech is very important. Having mediocre tech would mean that they can be as good as we are or better. And if they are as good as we are or better, it means they might have shitty teams or shitty approaches, but if they know the customers or they have access to the customers or markets better than us, they can win. Do you see the point? So the technology and implementation of technology or implementing all the other components, it should be very important for us when we are doing startup founding. And again, if we're thinking just about war situation, for us, eventually we want to do it to win the war and save lives, to save Ukraine. But in business, it can also be, for example, we invest in medical solutions that has a potential to save a lot of lives. And the technology means, for example, one of our startups, we are building, they're building solutions for radioactivity to detect how much radioactivity for cancer patients they need to do. So, and 80% of patients, they get too much radioactivity. So this device that they're building, it detects how much you should put. So you don't do unnecessary damage, which is freakishly important. They can actually prevent 100% of unnecessary injury when doing chemotherapy, which is freakishly awesome, right? And it does save lives and it does do amazing shit in the world. Without this tech, these guys have nothing. Meaning, they invented this new thing and they are building now a business around it, which is pretty cool. So again, when we are dealing with people, I want you to remember the stupid intelligence framework. Signals are important. Trust is important, but it's not enough. We need to eliminate doubt. We need to learn how to communicate our ideas and put effort into them. We need to serve people. And we are stupid when we don't have insights. Meaning, you are intelligent when you have a lot of insights about what kind of signals you're sending, how to serve your clients, how to communicate to them, how to build trust, how to eliminate doubt. Now, my next question, I'm going to ask you, how can we collect insights about any topic? I want 20 options here. I want everyone to participate now. Imagine you're building a startup and you need insights about any topic. How do we collect insights or how do we collect knowledge?
Talking to people.
Interviewing.
Talking to people, interviewing. I'll ask a follow-up question on talking to people and interviewing. Give me 5 examples of what kind of people we can talk to.
Customer interview.
Okay, what if we don't have access to customers? Who else can we talk to?
who is working in this field.
Okay, that's correct. Who else?
I would also say to take a look on our competitors and see the negative, for example, feedback from users and talk to them. How can we improve what our competitors don't have?
Yeah. What else? Speak with colleagues in this sphere. Correct. What else? What
We
would
can
be
also work in this sphere.
Yeah, we actually had one startup. This is freakishly amazing. They're building the next generation communication. And one of the founders, he actually went to Ukraine and spent 3 months with the military people to learn. He actually risked his life to build a device that will help Ukrainians. This is fucking amazing. So building together with customers or whatever. What else? Do researches. Yes, that's a different topic, but we are not talking to people, but we're doing research separately. I'm gonna come back to it. Give me 3 more people that we can talk to gather insights. Different types of people.
It's hard to say.
Okay, for example,
Maybe startups, founders.
yes, other founders, mentors, experts, investors, anyone who could give you insights about a particular issue, anyone who's been working there or close to that, even your mother. I always talk to my mother. I don't know why. She always has this black hat thinking. She always tells me the worst things first. I like to hear the worst things first because I'm very positive as a person. You can talk to anyone. Why is that important? Because you can actually gather insights from everybody. But again, people are going to give you opinions. If you're stupid, you're gonna take all the opinions and it's gonna sabotage you. If you're intelligent, you would know exactly how to flush the shit and how to take the best parts that really important for you. Because, for example, when you're a startup founder, you're gonna be talking to a lot of different mentors. And sometimes those mentors would tell you different things, contradicting things. Do this, but then do that, and you should do this, and then you should do that. And they are not being mean, they are just sharing their opinion. And you need to be intelligent enough to understand what does a certain insight mean to you. Nazari, you mentioned research. How can we do research? Give me 5 ways to do research or 5 ways to collect insights other than talking to people. What can we do to collect insights other than talking to people?
Some kind of Google Forms or surveys.
Okay.
We can go on Reddit.
Yeah.
We can
Analyzing. Yeah.
have you interviews also.
Yeah.
Also about insights, we can create some kind of usability testing thing.
Yeah.
When we develop, for example, just a clickable Figma, it's enough to see
Yeah.
how people use it, and we can gain insights there, I think.
Yes, and correct. In the chat, books, metrics, Google, ChatGPT, Reddit. What else? There's a couple more.
Maybe forums like Reddit and other, because they have topics and it's same like problems. Topics, it's problems.
Yes, videos, books, anything. Basically, I like what Kobe Bryant used to say. Once you have a craft, the whole world will become your library. So the most important thing is not to go do things just from your ass, but to actually gather the right insights that will make you intelligent. And remember, you need to be intelligent in 3 domains to be successful in the startup world. The first domain is the domain that you're entering. For example, if you're doing education in an AI, you should be the best knowledgeable in that. Then the second domain would be the domain of startups, because it's like playing basketball, not football. You need to learn about basketball. So the domain of startups, you need to really learn about that. So if you want to become a startup founder, you need to learn about your domain and then the domain of startups. So that's where you need to really focus your mindset. That's where you need to elevate your game. What would be the third domain, by the way? What is the third domain that you need to gather insights or be intelligent about? The third domain is the domain of the people you're dealing with. Meaning, if you're talking to investors, you need to speak the investors' language. If you're talking to partners, you need to speak the partners' language. If you're talking to customers, you speak the customer's language. If you're talking to suppliers, you need to speak their language. So I call it the domain of your audience. A lot of startups, they want to raise funding, but they have no idea what investors want or how they speak. So, and that's very dangerous, because when you do that, you're sending me signals that you're basically an idiot. You want money, but you don't want to serve me as a person. So it's not enough that you have your domain strong and you're playing the startup game properly. You really need to learn the domain of your audience. And that's why being a startup founder becomes a bit difficult. And that's why I told Alina and Andre that we need to have this mindset session, because you need to really understand what you're doing before you even start doing things. And again, if you have these components ready, the first 7 components, if you have them perfectly done, executed, you are fundable. Investors will actually run after you. But if you are sending me signals that you don't know what you're doing, and you're just asking money, basically begging for money, nobody wants to deal with that. Nobody wants to work with the whatever average athlete, nobody wants to sponsor an athlete in a lower division. They all want the best athletes to sponsor. And it's your job to get there. You cannot be like, first give me money, then I'll get there. No, you have to do your part to get there. And that's the difference between an amateur startup founder and a great startup founder. And this is very important. How does this sound so far? Do you have any questions? Am I speaking too fast in English, or is it clear?
I just think it's clear. Right.
All right. I'm gonna start by giving you some more insights about how to become better at communicating. I'm gonna teach you how to frame your unique selling points properly. Okay? The next slide is one of the hardest things in sales. Okay? When it comes to selling, what's really important is to explain the meaning and the outcome behind your product or behind anything that you're trying to sell. If we change product here to startup company or your startup, you can change the flower into any topic you want, okay? For example, if you change Mario to investor, the flower would be your startup, and what does it mean to the investor, okay? But I'll explain this. For those of you who hasn't played Mario, I'm sorry, this is the oldest game that I know how to use this metaphor for. All the amateur salespeople, they over describe the flower, and it doesn't work. Mario eats the flower, becomes Super Mario. What really sells is the outcome selling, and what does it mean to Mario? How many of you have played Mario as a game? No one. You're too young, my goodness. It was our favorite game when we were growing up. But anyway, so the point from this example is Mario is your customer. He's using your product. He becomes Super Mario. The outcome for Mario would be that he can shoot fireballs. He becomes big and he gets an extra life. But what it means to Mario is that he can actually kill the dragon and save the princess. Okay? So it's the same thing when Nike or Adidas, they're selling shoes, but they're not over describing the shoes, writing all the features of the shoes. They're trying to show you what does this shoes mean to you. For example, they have Leo Messi or Michael Jordan wearing the shoes, and they show you that you become a super athlete. Why is this important? This is important because if I link this to the mindset, your mindset should be always about how can I communicate better? How can I sell my ideas better? How can I connect with my audience? How can I make them understand what we're doing? Because I'll give you one very short example. Imagine you're selling a laptop to a student. What amateur salespeople would do, they will describe all the buttons in the laptop, all the features, all the functionalities, and they forget what it means to a student. But when a student buys a laptop, they care about doing the assignments, graduating, becoming a super student. No one can actually graduate nowadays without a laptop. So it's like super impossible to graduate without the laptop. You see my point? And I'll give you another example, the iPod. The iPod was even before the iPhone. So when Steve Jobs created the iPod, he was saying the iPod is a listening device like no other. It has 1,000 songs in your pocket. What it means, the outcome for the user would be convenience, fun, and motivation, and durability, portability. But to translate the meaning behind the iPod to someone, you need to choose a particular customer. For runners, it means unstoppable focus, freedom to move, consistent motivation. Now, if I ask you the same thing, what would it mean for teenagers to have an iPod? What would be the outcome and meaning for a teenager? Can someone tell me?
It's like having fun or being like part of a big community. For example, someone who likes the Beatles or someone who likes AC/DC.
Exactly. So the outcome and meaning would change based on your customer group. It could be some similarities, but again, it's your job to translate this. And that's why selling is hard. What we try to do, we try to neutralize it. And sometimes when we neutralize it, it becomes super generic. And when it's super generic, you risk that you don't show your competitive offering to them. All right? So, and why is this important? Because on a mindset level, you should do all this work. You should be intelligent enough to do it. And that's why also you need to have a very diverse team, because one person can be in charge of building the flower and one person would be in charge of translating the selling and actually doing the work for that. Because it's not enough to just build anymore. You need to be able to sell it even before you build it. And that's why Steve Jobs was magnificent as his job, because he actually spent 10 hours for every 1 minute of any presentation in front of any people. For 1 minute, he spent 10 hours preparing. Why? Because he needed to understand how to actually communicate better with clients, meaning he was working on this part, actually these two. And his motivation was to build trust and eliminate doubt. Basically, that's what the foundation for selling and actually building a startup is. And another thing I want to introduce to you today is the concept of need, problem, expectations. Okay? So you're going to be trained to think about problems when it comes to startups. And based on these problems, you're going to build solutions. Okay? I want you to go a step before that. For any problem to exist, there's always a need. For example, I am hungry, I need food. The problem is where to find food or where to find food in a certain situation. Right? Imagine I am vegan and the closest supermarket for me is 2 kilometers away. Can you give me 10 ways how I can solve this problem that I have with food? I need food, I'm vegan, the closest supermarket is 2 kilometers away. How do I solve this problem? Give me 10 ways, different ways.
Create food delivery service.
Yes, food delivery service. That's one. Give me 9 more.
Блядь,
What? All right, 9 more, guys. You can type in taxi service, sure. Same thing as delivery,
Rest-
but
restaurant.
I go to a restaurant, sure. Or I take a taxi to a restaurant, so no more taxis to the restaurant. Ideas? Give me 7 new ideas. How can I solve this problem? I'm hungry, I'm vegan, 2 kilometers away, the closest restaurant. Device to cook at home, okay? But if I don't have the device, I won't have time to build it. Or by the time I build it, I'm dead. So I take it as a half idea. Come on, guys, 7 ideas more. How can I solve my problem? I need food. I don't have food. I need to get food. What would be the 7 ways to solve it? Other than food delivery, taxi delivery, going to a restaurant. Open a new pizzeria close, I would die before I open it. I would need to go buy oven. There's so much easier ways to solve it. I need to solve it right now. I'm hungry right now.
Look for recipe and cook yourself.
Yes, thank you. 4, 6, 6 more.
Hire someone to cook.
Yes. The problem would be where to hire that someone who can be coming right now. But sure, I can call my friends. I pay you 100 euros, come cook. Freezed food, all right? I would have something in the freezer. 5 more.
Buy ready-to-eat food.
Yep, go to the neighbor's house. That's also a good idea. What else? Four more.
Call parents.
Yes, call my mom. Bring me borscht. Something like that. 3 more.
Maybe using some kind of technology, like for example, if you have only a bottle of milk, so using one of the technology, you can create an ice cream, for example.
Okay, very, very innovative. Give me 2 more.
Cook already been?
Okay, one more. All right, go look for fruits. I accept that. So, we've done this exercise and there are about 30 different types of solutions and maybe 300 different ways to solve this problem. For example, just calling someone, you can call 300 people from your phone, or call a relative or ask a neighbor. You can go to any neighbor. But the point here is that I want you to also think about creative ways. For example, you can just not eat. You can skip a meal. You can delay hunger by taking a snack or drinking coffee. You can steal food. You are too polite. If you have a big problem, like if you're really dying from hunger and you're able to steal, you would steal. That's what happens in most situations. For example, they steal technologies or they and why is that important? Because you should ask yourself how big and how important is this problem for someone? Okay? And also, you should think about it like this. Your mindset should always be looking for alternatives and all the options that would be a competitor to your solution. Imagine if you're creating a food delivery solution, you're competing against all the other alternatives. If someone can get food easier or better with other ways than food delivery, they will choose that. But for some reason, food delivery is the easiest one for some people. They choose it for a reason. And they usually choose it because this option meets their expectations the most. And on a mindset level, yes, Maria, it's very deep. On a mindset level, you should be that person who's thinking about all these things. Why? Because this would be the difference between success or failure. So now imagine I chose food delivery. I want to hear 20 different expectations that you would expect from a food delivery. I'm going to give you the first 4. So warm food, delicious food, quick delivery, easy to order. Give me 16 more things that you expect from a food delivery.
Healthy.
Healthy, yes.
It also has to be in decent state. I mean that
Yes.
it's not spilled out, it's not
Yep.
damaged, because
All
it's
right.
really like a problem.
Okay. 14 more.
A really big amount of choices. So
Yep.
it could be multiple choice.
Yes, and not expensive, not big price, eco-friendly business. Yep. What else?
Simply.
Yep. Easy to order. What else? Give me 10 more.
Probably innovative.
Yep. 9 more.
Tasty.
Yes. 8 more.
You expect that you can easily find this solution, just Google it and get the result.
Yep. Entertain you. You want your delivery guy to entertain you, sing you a song, Nazar, or dance for you? Which one? But if you expect that, then you expect that. It's okay. 6 more.
Friendly services.
Friendly service. Okay. 5 more.
It should meet your food criteria, like allergies or vegan, something like
Yes.
that.
That's a very big one. If I order vegan food and I get meat, I will destroy them. I want my money back. 4 more.
Cheap.
Cheap has been mentioned before, not big price, but it's correct. Build menu for you by your prompt. All right, so implementing AI. This is a new thing. Never heard this before, but it's correct. Fast delivery. Yes, give me 3 more. All right, I'll give you a scenario. Imagine something went wrong with your order. What do you expect?
Oh yeah, quick and normal customer support.
Yes, 2 more. Refund, yes.
A loyalty program.
Yes. So, why did I put you through this? Because when you're building a startup, you need to think about the need, the problem, alternatives, and expectations. You need to fulfill expectations that would be crucial expectations that people could doubt. And you want to fulfill expectations that are normal expectations that people would trust that this is the right solution or the right option for them to choose from any other option. Because if it's easier for me to call my mom and tell her, bring me borscht, why the hell would I order food? Unless my mom is annoying and she comes always and starts telling me, why is your home so dirty? And I don't need that shit. I order food. You get my point? So your job when you're building a startup is to think about all this. And it's always the expectations. When you meet expectations more than any other solution, you start winning customers. So what I tell startups to do, the ones that we invest in, I tell them to write down 300 expectations about your solution that your customers would think about. And they think that I'm crazy or insane. But I tell them you should write those down because you need to think about everything. So Maria, pointing to you, double deep. Because you don't want to be surprised and you want to be prepared and you want to understand your customers. So sometimes you cannot write 300, so you need to go talk to them. You need to ask them, what would you expect from a food delivery solution in the AI world, for example? This is something, Nazar, you build it really well. I like it. So what you should be doing is exactly this kind of work because you want to win. Your mindset would tell you that we need to be prepared. We need to serve our clients. We need to serve them like nobody else because that's the only way you're going to win those clients. And what I want you to pay attention to, I want you to pay attention to crucial expectations or very important things that people want and expect from your solution that no one else could do better than you. Because that's what competition is about. If you ever been to Italy, for example, in Rome, in Trastevere, it's a beautiful area, but they have like 30 different restaurants that serve the same freaking menu. But they all have something different. Some of them have music, some of them have a terrace, some of them have nice decor, some of them have pretty tables with white and red cloth there, you know? So, and of course, Italy has a lot of tourists, and they all have certain things that they fulfill to the client, but the menu is the same. So basically, when people need food and the problem is the same, but what they are expecting is different. For example, I expect to have a beer outside, or I expect to eat and I would like to hear the music. I'm there with my girlfriend and I want her to have a good time. I want it to be romantic. Or I'm there with my 4 buddies and I don't care about the romantic. I want to just have big portions. You get my point? That's what's going to make a difference for you. And the last thing I'm going to say about expectations. When you're building a startup, you want to think about expectations before they happen. And that's the hardest thing. You need to fulfill expectations before they happen. This might sound like crazy, but imagine when you're building a new solutions that nobody wants or nobody knows how it works or nobody knows that they want it. The first thing they're gonna think about, like, what if? So they're talking about what if it has, what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't have a great interface? What if it doesn't have certain features? What if it breaks? What if the integration is difficult? What if I order my mobile phone online but I never get it? What if they scam me? So we're talking about doubts, and then doubts are always linked to expectations. All right? Do you have any questions on this? All right. How many of you have startup ideas at the moment? Can you do like a thumbs up? Maria has a startup idea. Who else? Can you tell me more about your startup idea?
I can try. I didn't quite have time to like prepare the perfect pitch.
You don't need
With
to pitch it. Just tell me
Okay.
what are you building? Is it a software or hardware?
It's a software, so we want to reinvent the whole gym subscription system. Like instead of locking into one gym or one studio or one type of workout, we give users total flexibility by a single pass to explore niche and best sports clubs, yoga studios, dance schools. So it's no boring routines, no more unused memberships that you're bored with. Just freedom to train how you want, where you want, or when you want.
Okay, let's go back. Your customers would be gym goers or would be the gyms? Which
Um, Actually, both, because both
Okay,
benefit
let's
from
take
them.
one. Let's take the gym goers, okay?
Sure.
What do they need?
So most people quit their fitness routine because it's repetitive and they don't feel motivated. And traditional gym memberships are quite restrictive and often
Hey,
go
Maria,
unused.
answer
Yeah.
my question. You started explaining the problem without telling me the need. What do they
Oh, I
need?
got you. Oh, yeah, sure. So they need like to stay fit and healthy, um, with being able to choose how to stay fit.
Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
What is stopping them? What is stopping them from staying fit? What is the problem? That's what you really need to elaborate now. And you were talking about
Mhm.
it, but
Mhm.
tell me more about the problem in couple of bullet points.
Yeah, so they need to be able to choose. Like, no, sorry. I mean, they have to choose at this point only one kind of sports to stick with, because that's what memberships do. And they need to somehow not to lose the motivation, Mm. And
What
also
is
it has to be accessible.
Why
Like,
are they losing motivation?
sorry?
Why are they losing motivation?
From what I talk to people on interviews, it becomes too boring. So they want to be it more. mm, so it becomes just too
Why
boring
why
and
is it
repetitive.
boring?
Mm, Because in most studios that you go to, for example, yoga, you only do yoga. But sometimes you want to try something else. But you again have to stick to another membership to try it, to go with.
Right. So they need variety.
Yeah.
So the real need is that they need different activities.
Mhm.
Problem is that one activity for a long time is boring.
Mhm.
And having many activities might be expensive, right?
That's right.
So this is the starting point for you.
Mhm.
And all of you who are working on your startup, you really need to dissect it into 3 to 5 words explaining the need and the problem. Because you really need to understand what you're dealing with. Okay? Because the alternatives to this is to either stick to one sport and get bored, or buy 5, 10 different memberships, or then find a solution that can do what you're doing now to have an inclusive membership for many places, right? That's your solution.
Yeah.
And the alternatives to that is anything that a person can decide to do, right?
Yes.
So what can I expect from this solution? And why would I choose it? That is the main reason for you to solve. Because if I expect cheaper prices, it's
Mhm.
different than different, let's say 5 different activities to do, right? For example, I go climbing, I go swimming, I play basketball, and I bike and I run. Okay? But I don't need a membership. I don't need 5 membership for that. I only have 2 different memberships for it. But I would love to have a membership where I can get basketball inside. So you got my attention. You see my point?
Yeah.
But how are you going to build a business out of it that actually makes sense to you and the clients? And the starting point is to meet their expectations. Can you tell me more about what they are expecting? Or have you done this work where you discuss about their expectations?
About like my solution or the whole fitness experience?
Have you talked to people about what they expect from a solution like yours?
I did, but I did it without like pitching my idea, so not to frame them in this discussion. So they expect this format of booking like class and not just having a schedule, for example, to have different locations. Because if you stick to one gym that's near your house, you cannot, for example, work out when you got late at work. So we give also this opportunity to like work out in different locations. What else? They expect it to not to cost like a wing of a plane. They expect quite a big variety actually in the app. So that's what we also going to do, like speak to different studios and get them in our base.
Good. So continue building 300 expectations.
Yeah, that's hard.
So how do you do it? First of all, you need to understand the big umbrellas. First, think about crucial expectations. For example, for me, it's not about price, but it's more about convenience. And it's not about location because I like things to be close to me. When I work from home, I want to, if I have 2 hours, I need to get there fast. You know what I mean? But some other
Yeah.
people would appreciate price, variety, and certain sports. For example, paddle and let's say climbing and so. And then the other umbrellas you want to think about, for example, the food delivery. There's the app, expectations on the app level, things going right, things going wrong, things going good, bad, and ugly. Then you have the restaurant layer. For in your case, it's the gyms or the people providing the service. Third layer, for example, for food delivery is the delivery guy. But for you, the third layer can be transport, how I get there. You see my point?
Yeah.
So, and then you can create new layers. For example, timing. When does it work? Because some gyms, they're super busy. For example, my climbing center between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., it's super quiet. They would make deals. But between 3 p.m. and 9 p.m., they will not, the prices are higher. You see my point?
Yeah.
So your job is to really understand all these parameters that you can work on, that you can create a service and create expectations for that. So some people who are working, let's say 9 to 5, they expect you on the timing level to have things between 5 and 9 p.m., right? For people like me, I can work anytime. And I usually like to go after breakfast. That's when I like to work out. So between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. That's my ideal thing. You see my point? So
Yeah.
your job is to really identify all these expectations because you are in the business of serving people.
Mhm.
And building trust is not enough because you need to eliminate doubt. Eliminating doubt means here, what if I buy your membership and you promise me 5 or 10 different places, but I cannot access it on between 5 and 9 p.m.? Or what if I go there, but the gyms are so crowded, it will be a shitty experience. It means your solution is shitty for me. You get my point?
Yeah.
So what if I can just do it without you? I don't need you, you know? Or
Mhm.
what if I can uh what if I expect like a group discount? If you're gonna start serving B2B, let's say companies and their
Mhm.
workers, what if I want this service for 100 of my employees and I want certain things? You know what I mean? You need to think about all that, okay? But that's why expectations are important because this is where you're gonna win customers. This is where you start serving them and actually making a difference for your business. All right, I'm gonna give you now 15 minutes break for all of you. And for those of you who have a business idea, I want you to write down a customer need, problem, expectations. And I want the need and the problem to be bullet points. The need is one need, maximum 7 words, and the problem, maximum 3 bullet points of maximum 7 words describing that problem. And I want you to write down 10 expectations that are for you in this 15-minute break and like an exercise, okay? And I want you to type it in the chat. So if you don't have an idea, I want you to choose any product that you see in front of you and make that exercise for any product that you have. For example, you can choose your TV, your bike, your cup, choose a cup and do this exercise for it, okay? So 15 minutes. Come back at, for me it says 3 o'clock. It's 2:15. So 15 minutes. I want to see those answers in the chat and we will have a working break, okay? All right, we will continue. Oh, wow, cool. Fishuk or Vladislav. So the customers, individuals with excessive time, screen, parents, and educational institute need an efficient and not frustrating way to reduce time screening. Existing solutions are often harsh time blockers and impersonal. The most significant time reduction compared to other apps. Privacy, game is fun and doesn't take much time. Core feature, the battery is not drained. Sounds cool. Proof. App motivates and not frustrates. Sounds good. I like it. Customers. Twitch viewer need escape screen until view stream. Problem parents called, roommates called, girlfriend, wives called. All right, a lot of scolding. Damage of ears, neighbors called. Expectation free, effective, cheap, durable, adaptive, comfortable. All right. You have two different ideas. Lover of movies and TV series need escape screen until view. Don't wake up, damage of ears, blah, blah, blah. All right, I like it. So now that you have these big parameters, you can go a bit deeper into them. Maria need to access diverse workout, flexible training schedule, affordable options. Affordable options, motivation, convenient locations, those are expectations. So the need is to access diverse workout and flexible training schedule. So one of the things I want you to really do is not mix the need with expectations. I need to have multiple workouts flexibly. That's the need. And then everything else would be an expectation. Problem, limited variety, busy schedules, multiple subscriptions, too costly, etc., etc. There's many problems, but usually they fit under 3 or 4 different umbrellas. It could be also many needs, many problems actually. One need, many problems. Expectations, there are many. I like it. Anastasia, problem, there is no quick and easy way to use rehabilitation skills in professional activities. Customer, rehabilitation specialist and student of this rehabilitation need to simplify the search and adaptation of skills for patient assessment. Anastasia, try to have the need before the problem. That's a good exercise to the routine to have. But here you didn't do it badly. You just maybe typed it badly. But the thinking should be need first, problem, solution, or your solution, and then alternatives, meaning anything else that's solving it, and then expectations. Easy and intuitive interface, easy navigation, can work on a phone, computer, the application itself. All right, I love this. So now, again, you are going to do this and you're going to write 300 expectations. Why you're doing this? Because you need to gather insights and be careful about the insights that you are thinking are right versus the insights that people really need. And that's why pitching is very important. That's why you should have the mindset of always gathering the insights that are true and facts and the insights that your audience really need. And this is what makes also the difference between an amateur founder and a great founder. Great founders, they always try to gather the right insights, especially the expectations from the clients and their needs and problems, because there are a lot of founders who just think they are right and they're like, this is what customers need, and they build and build and build, and they don't talk to customers, and then they go launch their solution, but that's not what the customers want. And it's simply because they didn't talk to them, or simply because they were so arrogant to think that they're going to be right. So my advice here, don't be right. Don't be arrogant. Gather insights from the right audience. If your ideas are correct and people actually like them without talking to them, that's fine. But how do you know? You double check with them, okay? And if you don't do it, the worst thing what's gonna happen is you're gonna lose time. All right? So now I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what is business development for a startup. I'm gonna put everything together for you now. Business development is like going to gym, and pitching is like flexing the muscle. For example, if you want to be if you're a bodybuilder, going to the gym is like business development for a startup. And pitching is showing your muscles. Same thing for athletes. If you go training and building your skills is like business development, and then playing the games and showing how you're performing and winning, that's actually pitching. And you need to sell not just for customers, you need to sell to many different audiences. And you're not gonna be in a position where all your ideas, or not everybody's going to be interested in what you're selling, and not everybody's gonna like you and your ideas. So interest and likability, you can't control fully, but you can control your efforts 100%. Meaning, this is the essence of what I call the pitching for life mentality. You always need to try your best. You always need to seize all the opportunities that you can get. And I want you to be intelligent, meaning anyone can go out there and build apps and build solutions from, I call it from ass. Many people are actually building solutions that people want to buy and will connect with. And eventually, building a startup is about building a business. And if you're going to forget that and focus on just one layer of business development, which is building solutions, building a product, and forget all the other components, you're going to end up in a situation where people are not going to buy it, or you don't understand your market, or you're not fundable. And that's the worst thing. But putting your efforts into all the components and doing it right, that's what I want for you. That's why we're having the session today. So the real definition of business development in big companies is any activity that contribute to growth systematically and consistently. Business development for a startup is dealing with anything that stands in the way of growth, also stands in the way of your survival. So, and you need to do it properly, affordably, creatively, and quickly. Because big companies, they can survive for years even doing things wrong. They can pay 4 million euros for a logo. They can spend 5 years changing their strategy. It's fine for them. But for you, a startup, you might not survive. So business development is dealing with anything that stop you from moving forward, that stop you from growing. And you need to do it properly, affordably, creatively, and quickly. Think about it as PACQ, like Pac-Man. I already mentioned the components. So I don't know if you know this book by Daniel Kahneman. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. It's one of my favorite books about understanding people and psychology. And there's like a 1,000 different lessons about psychology and people and business in the book. Daniel defines success as talent plus luck. But talent alone without effort is useless, because in his eyes, people who really want to succeed, they're putting the effort anyway. That's kind of the mindset thing that I'm trying to tell you. But there's always an element of luck. For example, you build a product, you get lucky, and you also get access to certain people. They introduce you to all the customers and all the investors. Boom, that's luck. You can't compete with that. But losers, they think like, oh, I'm never gonna get lucky, so I'm never gonna even try. And that's exactly what I'm trying to avoid for you, because we as Ukrainians, we have to be strong, and we have to work against all the odds, and we will win eventually. You know, we are gonna use all our talents or all our creativity, and we're gonna beat the luck. And this is kind of the startup mentality. You have to always think about, how can I do it? What can I do within all the resources that I have? Don't forget that ever. It's what really annoys me when I coach thousands and thousands of startups, and they come to me and they're lazy, or they want quick wins, or they don't want to do the work. They don't want to do the lists. They don't want to understand the expectations. And then I ask them, like, do you guys want to succeed? And how badly do you want it? That's the only two questions that you should ask yourself. If you don't want it badly, quit, because you're wasting your time, and you're wasting Alina's time, and you're wasting Andrei Zaikin's time, because I know these guys want to win. They're fucking champions. Alina, you were a champion of Ukraine in basketball, correct? And you're gonna be a champion in this. There's a reason why you're working with Andrei, because he wants to win, you know? And I'm here, I don't want to motivate you. I don't want to inspire you. I want to show you direction, that this is the rewards of building a big startup is not only money, it's also changing the world, winning the impossible, or doing the impossible. Okay? I don't have the list somewhere concrete, but I have a list of materials here, and I will add the Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman.
We can share it in chat later.
Yeah, but I don't have this Thinking Fast and Slow on the list. I should add it actually. Thank you, Maria, for suggesting that. The point now is that the mindset is not only how you think, it's also how you should work. And if you want to win, you don't make excuses. You just ask, how can I get better? How can I find insights? How can I find solutions to my problems? How can I survive? How can I grow? I don't have one book. I read almost 1,000 books because I am obsessed with learning. I'm obsessed of being the best coach I can be. And there's no one book that is really helpful. I'm gonna mention a lot of books as we go, so stay in touch. Also add me on LinkedIn. I usually share a lot of stuff on LinkedIn. You can find my LinkedIn under my profile here. And Alina, do they have a WhatsApp group or Telegram group?
We have Telegram group, so we can share all the information there.
You can add me to the group. They can ask me questions there if they want. So, or you can add a group for the speakers. So I also have my number under the pitchingforlife.com/bio. So if you have a question and you don't have LinkedIn yet, which you should have, if you want to be a startup founder, create LinkedIn today. And if you don't have a LinkedIn and you have an urgent question, you can ping me on WhatsApp. So the mindset is very important because that's what differentiates losers from winners. And I'm not afraid to talk about losers and winners because in life there's two people. There are those who win and those who don't win. And that's it. So the mindset of selling first is very important because all the engineers that I know, or scientists that I'm coaching, they are always built like this, like, let's think of an idea. Does it work? Can I build it? And then in the end, they get tired and they start thinking, can we actually sell it? And that's already too late. What should you think as a founder? You should think about, can I sell it before building it? How can I build it in the best way as a startup, not as a corporation building a million features, but how can I build the proper MVP and a proper working demo that actually can get me to the next stage? And how can I make it work, clients? That's the point. That's Steve Blank is the best reference here. Steve Blank and the lean startup kind of. There's books and there's videos on that. And when you're building a startup, you start with an idea and then you go through iterations. You go proof of concept, prototyping, MVP, MLP, and then you build a full product. It's very dangerous in today's world to go from idea to full product. Unless you can do it super fast with AI, that has changed a bit this. But you don't spend years building a full product without iterations, without talking to clients, without understanding what you're building. It could work, but it also could be a gamble if you don't create a community around what you're building. And also depends on the industry. If you're building a deep tech solution, still you need to build, let's say, a prototype for your device. If you're building a game, it's also dangerous to build a full product before you launch it. You can build couple of demo levels and check it. If you're building a software, you don't need to build the whole thing. You can build certain features that would make you a hero, like you're better than anything else with this, and test it and try it and iterate, create a community around it and build more features together and so on. If you really need to build a lot of features like full product, you really want to make sure that you're not going to spend 5 years building and then there's no business behind it, because that's the dangerous part, losing time. And you want to think about problem solution fit. So when we think about need, the need identifies the problem identifies the solution, then there should be a problem solution fit, which means you need to build the right solution for the problem. And then you need to think about product market fit. And in business terms, product market fit should be, if you divide LTV by CAC, should be more than 3. So in today's world, this 3 is already 5, meaning LTV, I'm going to type it in the chat, it's lifetime value of a customer, and CAC is customer acquisition costs. Now it's getting a bit heavy on a business level. So LTV, if it's, let's say, 1,000 euros, and CAC, if it's 300 euros, then it's actually okay. Why is that important? Can I ask you? Can someone help me? This is difficult stuff. So no
Maybe
one,
if this number is smaller, the margin is not enough, and it's not enough for
yeah, why is it not enough?
growth for the company.
Yes, because when you're a startup founder, you need to think about building big companies and building them fast. So it means you're gonna need to think about growing 20% month on month. When you have established the product, established the system, you need to think about how can you actually grow and grow and grow and keep growing, you know? So customer acquisition costs, they're not just the ads that you spend. Customer acquisition costs is anything that you're spending on time and money to actually produce the service and sell the service. For example, if you have softwares building a product, and if you have engineers building a software, you calculate their time, how much it takes to build it. And then if you have salespeople doing full-time sales or part-time sales, you calculate how much time they're spending. So salaries. Then you can add the campaigns that you're paying for. Then you can add, let's say, the conference tickets. Anything that is within the customer acquisition cost is there. And lifetime value is basically how much will your customers pay. For example, if you have a subscription for 100 euros per month and you expect them to stay with you for 3 years, it means 100 times 12 times 3. So this would be 3,600. That could be an LTV from, and this is still fiction. This is still a hypothesis. This is still like what you think will happen. But again, if you show me contracts like, hey, we have 1,000 clients who committed to this, means 1,000 times 3,600. Now you are in 3.6 million euros pipeline and sales. And if your CAC, if, for example, you spent 1 million euros on this, then it's quite a nice system that you created, which means you have number of subscriptions, right? If you have, that's your real KPI. KPI means key performance indicators. So if you have more subscriptions, you will have more sales, and you know your CAC. So the only question would be like how to get more subscriptions. To get more subscriptions, you probably need more meetings. To get more meetings, you need more salespeople. To get more salespeople, you need to hire them. Then when you hire them, you need to help them with marketing. So meaning you need to hire marketing people to help the marketing people to get the sales to get meetings. And then any activity on top of that, for example, sending emails, creating social media, creating a website, all that would fit into your system that you're creating. And that's how you should be thinking about your business. Like, what is the real KPI? Let's say subscription. If you're selling pizza, the real KPI is number of pizzas sold or number of drinks sold. And this is very important for you to think about, because product market fit means You understand your LTV, you understand your CAC, and you understand where you can grow. What are the markets? How you're going to do it? And again, this is heavy. This is not something that we're going to learn today, but I am opening your mind on it. Your mindset should be about building a business and a big business around it. And a lot of startup founders, they tell me like, yes, we have a better software than all these big guys, but they have no access to users, which means they have no access to the market. That's not a good thing. Your job is to find a way to get access to the customers and users and markets. If you don't, then you don't have a business, no matter how much better your product is. Because these big guys, they have access, they have unlimited budget, and already people trust them and not doubt them. You see my point? So your biggest enemy would be the punches from the market. You will need to survive all kind of difficulties. That's why business development in the startup context is dealing with anything that comes in your way, even if it's a punch. You need to be intelligent, meaning understanding the stupid intelligent framework and how to use it for your, and most importantly, gather insights. You need to do the work with the need, problem, expectations. And by the way, you can change customer, for example, for investors, they need good startups to invest in. The problem for any investor, I can tell you, we have it, is to find great startups to invest in. Where to find them regularly. We are supposed to invest in 60 startups in 3 years. Now it's been 2 years. We have invested in 41 startups. So we need 19 startups to go. And it's freakishly hard to find those startups. We have to do a lot of work. We have to collaborate with a lot of universities. We have to go to a lot of conferences. And we have expectations from startups on all the 10 components of business development. And they have expectations from us too as investors. So how you should be thinking, how your mindset should be, is about building relationships. My goodness, I want to fix this. Here on this slide, there is a plus. So business development is about going from 0 to 1 plus. See, I'm being entrepreneurial now. I'm fixing as we go. Growing from 0 to 1 plus means today you have 0 customers. Okay, it's something like this. Today you have 0 customers. You want to grow from 0 to 1 plus. You want to have 1 customer, but it can be any value. For example, the valuation of your company is 0 today because it's still an idea, but tomorrow you want it to be €1, €10, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, 10 billion, whatever it is. So business development is actually growing from 0 to 1 plus. You have 0 insights, you grow from 1 to 2 to 1,000, 10,000, 1 billion. You're selling 0 pizzas, you grow to 1, 2, 10, 1 million, trillion. If you have 0 users, same thing. So that's what business development is. And your mindset should be about growing regularly. So what investors will expect from you is to grow month over month, 20% or 30% or more, depending on the industry. And it would require you to build relationships with people, and 3 relationships simultaneously. You always need to ask, why would someone like your idea? Or why would someone like your product? Or why would someone like the idea of investing in you? Why would someone like the idea of partnering with you? It depending on the audience. So the first relationship, why would they like it? The second relationship, why would they buy it? Why would they invest in it? Why would they commit to it? Why would they supply you? Why would they collaborate with you? Why should they write a story about you if it's media or journalists? And the third relationship, why is it a good business for you and for them? Okay? And I'll give you an example. Imagine you have pizzas. Why would someone like the idea of a pizza? Because I'm hungry. When I'm hungry, I would like any idea that would that will fulfill my need. So the first relationship is about fulfilling a need. So we're building on the need, problem, expectations. The second relationship, why would they buy it, is because you solve a problem for them. And the third relationship is about meeting expectations and serving me. and we need to serve each other. For example, if I'm selling pizza, people would like it if they need pizza. They would buy it if they're hungry and they, can afford it or whatever it is. And they would think it's a good business for them and for you when they pay a certain price and get certain quality. But imagine if you're selling a pizza for 5 euros. In Finland, it's really bad price. It could be bad business for restaurants. Why? Because they would lose, let's say, 3 euros on each pizza they sell. It's bad business for them. So it's an issue with pricing and so on. Or imagine now, let's say, usually pizzas last year or 2 years ago, a pizza was 10 euros on average. Now almost all the pizzas the cheapest ones are around 13 euros. Why? Because inflation came, and then after the Ukraine war, we had more expensive energy, more expensive logistics. So prices went up. So people who got used to buying a 10 euro pizza, for them, the pizza price went 30% more, which is crazy to some people. And if they don't find the price being a good quality, they will stop buying the pizza. A lot of people stopped going to restaurants. They start eating at home. So a lot of pizzerias right now are suffering in Finland. So it is bad business for the customers when they pay more. It's good business for the customers when pizzas are 20 euros, for the restaurants when it's 20 euros. For example, if I show you now one website, Via Tribunale, this is one pizzeria in Finland. If we go to their website and we check the menu, so their pizza, the margherita is 16 euros. Tuna pizza is almost 20 euros. It used to be last year, it used to be about 16 euros. So again, they have to raise the prices because otherwise it means bad business for them. There's no profitability. And it also means that customers might buy less. Okay? So the point now is that when you're planning your business, you need to really think about those things. And the two things I want you to remember from this slide is that you're building 3 relationships and it takes time to build them. It takes time to grow from 0 to 1 plus to 2 to 3 to 10. And also, over time, things can change. For example, anytime anything can happen. COVID can destroy businesses. Certain things can raise prices. So you need to learn how to adapt to all this. So this is like an ongoing process. You're endlessly thinking about building these relationships and maintaining them and thinking about how you're going to keep running your business and keep winning. And that's kind of also a mindset thing. Like you always prepare for the worst and expect the best. And you always have it in your mindset that anything can happen. Because if you're going to do proper incubation and acceleration, they're going to teach you about the lean canvases. You're going to feel all these business things. They are nice and polite. They will help you understand your business. But what I'm teaching you now is to actually take it as, I don't want to say war. I want to say like a really World Cup level finals. Every relationship is about taking it very seriously. You want to win. So you approach it like, hey, I want to win. I want to know. I want to do my best. Because relationships are going to be very hard to build and maintain. People change. People, want certain things. Situations change and all that. Lean Canvas is a nice tool. You build it, but it's mostly based on guesses. So you're going to need to use these pitching skills to go talk to people, to iterate, to gather insights. Because when it comes to the lean startup methodology, it's not only about building. You need to measure and learn and ideate and measure and learn and ideate and keep building and improving. And you're going to need to really use your intelligence and your resources. And you need to do it in the startup way. You cannot spend too much time on it. So you need to be like an agile, and you need to do it quick, because these canvases that you're going to be using, they will help you understand the business, but they're going to change over time. Why? Because you're going to have, when you get insights, you get smarter. You learn certain things, you improve certain things. And In English, it's called iterative process, which means it's a process that is growing and evolving with time. So that's how you should be running your business. You should get always better, and you should avoid basing your decisions on assumptions. You should know, you should get insights that are actually the right insights. I already mentioned this before. So when you're building these canvases, everything that is a guess, it's dangerous. It means like you're gambling. Everything that is there is a fact. I should change this. So this green should be a fact. Let's call it like this. So let's call it facts. Guesses are bad. Facts are good. Okay? And if you don't have a fact, but you have a new insight, you keep looking until it becomes a fact. Then you are building an intelligent business. And you need to be like, you need to use certain tools that would help you make decisions better. This is something I'm going to leave for the next session. And the last thing I want to say about the mindset, when you're a startup founder, you need to be a lion or a lioness, and you need to be a detective fox. The lion character is a person who needs to make difficult decisions, who needs to lead. You need to lead yourself, lead the others. You also need to take care of yourself and take care of the others, because when you're a founder, you are the biggest and most important thing in the company. Your knowledge, every insight that you collected, every skill that you learned, you're the most important character. And I don't know if you know this, and this is something that startups don't realize. When you start dealing with investors see you as the biggest investor in your company. You are also investing time, money, effort in your company. So when we invest, we don't look at startups as they are less important than us. We actually see them as more important than us, because we put just money and maybe some knowledge, but you should have the biggest percentage of the company. As a founder, by rule, after 4 or 5 rounds of funding, your core team should have the most amount of shares, more than anyone else. That's the foundation for any good investment. But the detective fox is this character that you're always looking for insights. You're always going and talking and investigating, researching. Why? Because it's like solving 5,000 crimes or winning 5,000 battles to win the war. That's what business is. And you need to employ both. And there's a third character that is my favorite, and it's a dolphin. Dolphins are social, they're intelligent, they're playful, they like to swim. They're the only animals that enjoy having sex other than human. They're wonderful creatures. So if you can be a lion and a fox is enough, but if you employ the dolphin, which means you're actually having fun and doing it in a playful way, that would be the most ideal thing. And that should be kind of the main thing for the mindset today. I want to end it here because I feel like I've been talking a lot. So I'm happy to answer all your questions and to hear all your thoughts. If you don't have any questions, we can end early. But if you have questions later, you can also send me via LinkedIn or via WhatsApp. But now that we're here, feel free to ask me anything, because I have seen a lot, I have lived a lot, and I'm hoping that you guys can do amazing stuff in the future, because you are the future, and I'm counting on you. If no one has any questions, I would like to end this call by going one by one. I would like you to share in the chat or unmuting one thing that you really appreciated learning today. Okay? Dimi, you have a question, but let me just type in the chat what I want you to do. Write down one thing that you really appreciate learning today. It can be 1 to 3 things. So imagine you're on a Thanksgiving dinner, like the American style, and you're saying, I'm thankful that I learned about XYZ. That's what I want you to write. Dimi, you had a question. Go.
So, the question is like how to, how to acting with a challenging thing about first saving work-life balance in our life.
Can you
Is
help
the
me
first.
understand the question a bit more? What do you mean by work-life balance?
Like, because as a founder, as I said, you need to, for example, as a startup founder, you need to go really fast. You need to do businesses like one by one by just checking, is it work or isn't, or it isn't. Like, if it isn't, you shouldn't spend a lot of time for it. So the question is, like, you need to survive in it, okay? So maybe is it any like things that helps you to survive in it, like to just keeping in touch with your mind?
All right. Your question is very dangerous. I'm going to tell you everything I know about this. When you're a startup founder, there's no such thing as work-life balance. That's first thing. But I want to give maybe the example of Kobe Bryant, okay? He knew he wanted to be the best basketball player. So you need to know what you want, meaning you need to know where do you put your energy. Like, if you don't know that this is going to be the startup that you want to work on, you need to keep looking for ideas. But once you find it and you identify, like, okay, I want to play basketball and I want to be the best basketball player. For example, I want to build an AI for education and blah, blah, blah. And you know it, okay? Then you need to decide how badly do you want it and how much are you going to work on it. Because what is really annoying is that I see a lot of founders having 5 different startups they're involved in. That's not real commitment. That shows that, hey, you are just, like having 5 wives. You're not committed to any of them. And then how do you start? If you don't find this one thing, then you don't go all in. But once you find something, you need to go all in. Like Kobe Bryant, he actually went double all in. All the other athletes were training 2 times a day. He was training 4 times a day. He woke up at 4 a.m. and practiced 2 times before even any teams were practicing anymore. Why? Because he wanted to win. You get my point? So it's that's why I think your question is dangerous, because you're assuming that you're still in the research phase, and that's okay. In the research phase, you need to explore a lot of things. It's like before you get married, you need to date a lot of people. Or if you get lucky, you might find the one. This is what I wish I would had. If I would wish for something, I would want to meet my soulmate and I would put all my effort on her. You know what I mean? But not every person have it. So they have to, they have to go on dates, they have to try, but once you find that person or that business or that idea, my advice is to go all in. My advice is to really do whatever it takes, because that's what all the startup founders that I know that succeeded. They went all in. Some of them even quit schools like Harvard and Stanford and all that. But I mean, that's my answer. In the research phase, do whatever it takes to find it. Once you find it, go all in. Did I answer the question?
Absolutely. So really thank you for that answer and actually for all of what you say today.
Okay, can you tell me what was the one thing that you really appreciated today? Like, what was the lesson that, imagine if you would meet your little brother or your best friend, what would you tell him that you learned today? That's what I want you to say.
I think the most is to taking a research. Like, You said that before you starting the business, you firstly should think about expectations of your consumers. Firstly, think about, is it gonna work? Like, is it even useful for anyone?
Yep, that's a good lesson because you are here to serve them. And again, once you identify all these things, it will be so easy to sell to them. But most people don't even think about those things. What they start thinking about, here's a problem, let's build products. And you keep building products, keep building, you don't even understand what they need and how to solve their problem. Alina, it was really valuable for me how we sorted out so many things, especially about startup equity, since as beginner we're often very shy about it. Yes, you can't afford being shy. There's no such thing.
I know, no.
Your mindset should tell you, I want to win, I want it badly, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna be intelligent, I want to learn, and I want to figure out all the answers. And you don't need to be confident. There's no such thing as being confident. You need to believe that you can make a difference. And you need to want to make the effort.
I really appreciate the meeting we have in Finland about networking. It was really game-changing for me, and I hope that our participants will have this opportunity to have one from you.
Yeah, happy to do it. I mean, it's different when it's face to face, when we're doing the exercises, but we can still do it
Course.
online. But networking is coming. I want to do a session on pitching and
Really
networking.
important
Let's do
because
that.
I always was an introvert and I didn't know how to speak to people, and now I can talk to like everyone. And your session was really valuable in this process. So thank you.
Nice to know. I'm grateful for the new perspective on the process of implementing my ideas. It's very valuable and important for me and my team members. I learned about expectations and KPIs. Yes. I'm thankful for time and I've learned a lot about people importance. Okay. I learned about startup thinking, business strategy, be community, dolphin. Yes. The dolphin is really cute. I actually love diving the most. When I'm the happiest, I'm underwater. And I've never dived with dolphins yet, but I've seen them from a boat. They're really cute. I've seen sharks in the water. Um, I really appreciate learning about the extreme importance of where was this? I lost it. I really appreciate learning about the extreme importance of understanding customers' expectations when researching the idea. Thank you. Are there some things out of your main goal which give you additional energy, drive to keep going? Are there some things out of your main goal which give you additional energy, drive to keep going? Okay, I am self-driven because I have found my purpose. So I found what Kobe Bryant found in basketball. My purpose in life is to be a coach. So I want to coach as many people as possible. And what drives me more is, for example, now that I'm coaching Ukrainians and I'm half Ukrainian, for me, it gives me more motivation. And also, when I see people putting effort, that is super sexy for me. I like when people put effort, I'm like, I get hooked. I start coaching even better. And I don't know if you remember the animals. Now I'm gonna reveal what they mean. The first animal is what you want to be. The second animal is what people see you. And the third animal is what you really are. Why is that important? Because it's very important when it comes to relationships that you understand what you are first and what you want to be. For example, I am an eagle, but I want to be a lion, which means I want to be more of a leader or taking care of people or taking care of processes. And for me to jump from eagle to being a lion, it is quite a process. I need to change certain things about me. It becomes uncomfortable. But then the real question is like, how badly do I want to be that lion? And of course, it's a metaphor. So whatever animal you chose, there's no bad animal. But whatever animal you chose, psychologically, It could mean that you need to change your role, you need to put more effort, or you need maybe to put less effort to become that thing. And then the other thing that I want you to really think about is how people see you. When people see me as a shark, most people are afraid of sharks. They think it's unapproachable. So when I'm networking, when I'm talking to people, I usually see that. Especially now that I'm an investor, people are afraid to talk to me. So I need to make an effort to help them talk to me. Otherwise, I lose a lot of opportunities. So my mindset tells me, Walid, try to say hi first, try to be approachable, try to smile, try to do a high five, try to wear a funny hat. So you actually will see me, if you ever meet me in real life, you will see me usually with a nice, colorful hat. I love those. But the point is that when it comes to being you, you need to talk to yourself internally, but you also need to understand how others see you. So I want you to do this exercise within the group. So Alina, if you ever give them an exercise, I want you guys to talk about it. I would actually want you to also go to the, like, let's say, breakout rooms and tell me more about those animals. Or let's try it right now. For example, Dimi, what were your 3 animals?
Like, mm, as you said before, like a lion, dolphin, and etc.
Yeah, what was your third lion? Did you choose lion, dolphin, and what was the third one? Or you did
Uh,
it, did you join later? Because I asked you guys to do it in the beginning.
yeah, I'm joining later.
All right, so Veronica is not here. Maria also left. Victoria. Most people left. Interesting. Alina, what was your 3 animals?
Yeah. Okay. It was horse, snake, and dog. But when I write it snake, I was thinking about Snake from Kung Fu Panda. She's
Okay,
so
okay.
flexible, like she's so
Yeah, yeah. So horse is what you want to be, maybe more free, more active, not sleeping,
going
majestic.
straight ahead, so fast,
Yeah,
so gracious.
yeah. And dog is what you really are. You're loyal, you're amazing, you're a best friend, right?
That's
And
true.
and snake is what people see you, maybe. Maybe if they do see you like that. I don't see you like that. But the problem is that if someone sees you, you need to do something about it. And this is not something that works all the time, but this is just like eye-opening. When it comes to working with other people, you need to understand, and your mindset would tell you, I need to know myself. I need to know how others see me, and I need to know what it means for any situation. Taras, you had whale, cat, and shark. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I'm not sure there is any like hidden info in it. I mean,
I
I
want to
can.
hear more about the shark. If you're really a shark, what does it mean? What could it mean? Are you relentless? Do you always swimming and looking to do something, Are
Yeah.
you
Perhaps I'm ambitious, and that's why I haven't. When I was writing it, I haven't really thought of me as that animal.
I know, but that was the thing I didn't want you to know because
Mhm.
usually it works psychologically. And if you're ambitious, sharks are very ambitious. Actually, sharks, they never stop swimming. That's why I love diving with them. They actually look completely different um, than any other fish in the water, especially with their drive, with their ambition. And if people see you as a cat, that's cute, but cats are very powerful. They're so agile, they're so amazing. And if you want to be a whale, it means you want to be bigger than a shark. So kind of it's the same element, but you want to be more successful, more big and all that. So for you to go from shark to whale, it means you need to grow exponentially. So this could work. I mean, again, if people see you as a cat, but you want to be a whale, what does it mean? What are the things that you need to work on? But again, this is like very silly, but it could, this is something that I want you all to understand that in the startup world, it's not only you. you're going to be dealing with a lot of people, with your team, with customers, with investors. For example, if an investor is looking at you and they see a cat, but you want them to see a whale, or you want them to see your true nature as a shark, there's certain signals, certain communications that you need to show. And it is on you to do. It is something that you need to communicate and learn how to do it. This was one of the biggest mistakes I had when I was a founder. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't even know it existed. That's the problem. I thought I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna win. But I was working so stupidly and I made so many mistakes, and um, it was until I found one mentor, but it was a bit too late. I see Anne's list, eagle. You want to be an eagle? That's cute. I am an eagle, so I want to know more about that. Tell me more. What does eagle, lion, and cat mean to you?
Eagle, it's what the first.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just wanted to watch after people, maybe people who do the best, who professional some things, and I want to watch after them how they did this. So yeah, like this.
Yes. Do your friends look at you as a leader? Do people see you as like, do you have friends who nominate you as a leader?
Yeah, I leader in my dance group. I leader in my class also. So
Yeah, so people look up at you for leadership roles. So in a way, this is what this also indicates you could be like a CEO material, you know? So eagles, I'm not CEO material. I'm the person who sees the big picture. I can fly high and I can fly long and I can be super strong and eagles, I don't know if you know about that, but eagles have this ability to reinvent themselves. When they're 40 years old, they take away their, what is it? The sting and their claws. Why? Because they're old and they regrow, but it's so painful and takes 6 months to happen. So it's very dangerous. But after that, they have another 40 years of living perfectly, nicely. So eagles are very strong like that. And they do it. In nature, they do it. So it's good to know what are your elements. What does the cat mean to you? If you're really a cat, what does it mean?
maybe just calm person, maybe. Also, I don't know, just clever. Yeah.
Cats are very clever,
Um,
very independent.
yeah, and also like cats are not like company like dogs. Yeah. They
Yeah,
like by herself.
yeah, they're
You know
strong.
what I mean?
Cool. I like it. So that's the point of the exercise, meaning get to know yourself a bit more. Get to know your limits. Because when you're a startup founder, no matter what your role is, you're a leader. You need to add to the team. And it's not good to have, for example, 3 lions as the main thing. Even if you, for example, you have eagle, but you want to be an eagle, that's good. You need to have different also personalities. Because a lot of issues happen in teams where there's 3 alphas and they can't make decisions. They always have conflict. And 3 coders, they're talking too much about the stupid features on and on and on. They can't talk about business. And that's a weakness. You get my point? And on a mindset level, whoever is the leader, they're responsible for everything. The CEO of the company should be the leader of the company. If there's no leader, there's usually chaos. And that's why, for example, in Sweden, they sometimes struggle with leadership. They don't have this concept of leadership. They have round tables like King Arthur thing. It becomes super hard. And I struggle to coach Swedish startups because of that. All right, we have 5 minutes. Do you have any final questions?
Yeah, can
Yeah?
can I ask? Okay, my question is, in which sphere you recommended work? Because big tech implement every discover, every ever no every discover and have a big millions budget. So my question is, which sphere you recommended work, and how convent with a big tech company?
Uh, that's a difficult question because
Sure.
you're asking me to tell you what you should become when I don't know you. My answer to this is play to your strength and don't compete in the same curve. Try to jump curve. So for that, to understand my answer, you need to watch the video that I posted by Guy Kawasaki and The Art of Innovation. Meaning, the world is changing so fast. And if you're gonna start competing with AI now, you're already lost. You need to compete on the next curve of the AI because there are huge companies already dominating there. So you need to find out what's your next curve. That's the fastest way I can answer this. So play to your strength, jump curve, and become the best in what you can do. Even if your startup fails, you will get recognition. So I see a lot of founders, they just waste time building, 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 but they create nothing new, nothing big. And they forget that, hey, those who actually lost but created hype and created big shit, they will be on the map. It's like you'll be a rock star who can play guitar and the next big band will take you because they see your talent. Okay? That's how I never win. Whenever I do something, I overachieve in whatever I do. Especially if I already decided this is important for me. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to tell you what you should do and which industry you should focus on. I can tell you that I personally find more meaning in deep tech. Why? Because if you work with deep tech startups, they at least have science or technology or engineering that is breakthrough, that is hard to copy. Any platform, any SaaS that is easily, done with coding with the average team, it means that anyone else can do it, anyone else can copy it. So then you need to have other competitive skills, like let's say you need to do quick access to market, which is hard, expensive. Customer acquisition needs to be done in creative ways. But again, you can do whatever you want as long as you do it remarkably and you play to your strength. That would be my first advice. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
I have a word to add. Yes, feel free to add. We are.
And yeah, thanks. And once I've talked to ex CEO of Google, and I'm asked like, okay, it's a bit similar question, like what do I supposed to do? And he told me like, come on, just do something new. It doesn't matter in which sphere, it doesn't matter in which topic, just do and create something new. And that thought, that thing really changed my mindset. So I think it's really a powerful advice to do something new.
Oh, sorry. I actually got the video for you guys also. Sorry, finish the sentence. I YouTube failed me. I was
It's
multitasking.
okay. Yeah. So actually, that's it. Just to do something new.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
it.
And this 50 entrepreneurs share priceless advice. It will give you direction on how to approach mindset and how to approach choosing ideas. Basically, it talks about passion, talks about hard work, talks about something that you're good at, talks about something new, So the last two videos that I shared, they can help you to answer this question too. Thank you for joining the discussion. All right, time's up. Thank you for listening to
Yeah.
me and tolerating me. I'm not the usual coach that tells you what to do and how to do, but I want you to be intelligent and I want you to succeed, which means I want you to find your own superpowers and I want you to work for it. And I'll be by your side. If you ask me questions later with LinkedIn or WhatsApp, whatever it is, I will answer, I promise. So I am sad that not many could join today, but I also understand why. So Alina, your job is to share this message
Of
and feel
course.
free to tell them that they can add me on LinkedIn and they can ask me questions. I will answer with audio messages, for example. And make them write down the 3 animals first without revealing what it is, okay? This is a task for
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you
Um,
so much. It was
happy to
really
be.
bright for us.
Have a good
And
week.
really bright. Yeah. Yeah.
Really what?
Really prizeful for us, available, because you really helped to find our own way, and not like you said the other coach, like do this or do that.
You
And
should
it's
not
really
listen
important.
to those coaches.
I
They're
know,
only
I
telling
know.
you they're only telling you what they think is right, but I want you to figure out what's right for you because you guys are young, but you're not stupid. You are the future. I believe in you and I'm counting on you all to change not only the world, but change Ukraine at least, you know?
Of course.
It's and you know, I already, how can I say it? When I say I'm self-driven, I operate like this, that I could die any moment. I could stop having this privilege of having the chance of doing what I love to do or and most people they complain like, "Oh fuck, I wake up, I have to go to work." I actually wake up and I'm like, I'm so happy that I woke up that I get to go and do what I love to do. Get to coach and get to inspire um, people and actually be part of your journey. So I want you to have that mindset because it's beautiful. Because nothing is hard when you have this. The only thing that is hard is to actually uh, find the right people to coach or find, and that's super easy nowadays because I have built a really good network and reputation. I actually say no a lot than yes. I am choosing the right people to work with. So, and I get paid for it. I get paid about 10,000 euros for a day when I coach. So there
Wow.
are companies who pay me a lot of money to coach them. So once you become really good at what you do, the sky is the limit. And I want to get 10,000 per hour one day. Why? Because I know it's valuable. Today we had a crash course. Like when I work with big companies and important startups, we talk about everything, you know? And this 10,000 that they pay me, they have already made millions from that. They raised millions, made millions, so it's a drop in the ocean of what they did. So the sky is the limit for you. Don't let anyone tell you how to live and how to become. You decide all that. And you should be the leaders of your life. You know, that's the mindset that I want you to get. You lead, you decide, you learn, you get better. So I am proud of you, Alina, for making this special work with the others, but
Mhm.
I have a feeling we're gonna do an awesome job. And I can't wait to meet you. I might join you. Where was the trip? London? Somewhere. I'm gonna join the best
Amsterdam.
ones, right? The groups that go forward. There was a trip. Andre told me that there's gonna be some trip where I get to
Amsterdam.
meet Amsterdam. Yeah, because I can't go to Ukraine. I have a Ukrainian passport. I would not come back to Finland.
I know.
So let's get this done so I actually get to meet you in person also. All right, take care. I would talk
Thank you
forever.
so much for your time.
Have a
Ciao.
nice day. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.